Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. His Majesty the Sultan greets the President of the Republic of Poland on his country's National Day. The US President confirms that his administration is not satisfied with the latest Iranian proposal, and Tehran confirms its openness to solutions for the outstanding issues without pressure or dictates imposed on it under threat. And 12 people killed and others wounded as Israeli raids continue on villages in southern Lebanon, and Hezbollah bombs Israeli army positions and vehicles with drones. Welcome to our news center. Those were the headlines, and now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency Dr. Karol Nawrocki, President of the Republic of Poland, on his country's National Day. Internationally, US President Donald Trump affirmed that Iran has not presented the deal that Washington must agree to, explaining that the mission in Iran will continue until the matter is resolved finally and correctly, as he put it. The US President also briefly spoke about his negotiations with Iran, saying he spoke to them today, but complaining that it's a little hard to figure out who their leaders are. Frankly, earlier in the day, as he left the White House for Florida, Trump told reporters he's not satisfied with Iran's latest proposal in negotiations to end the war. Asked what he sees are the proposal's shortcomings, Trump said, "They're asking for things I can agree to."
Coming through with the kind of deal that we have to have, and we're going to get this thing done properly.
The Iranian Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that the current period marks a new phase of negotiations. The head of the Iranian judiciary affirmed that Tehran is open to seeking solutions to the outstanding issues between the two sides without pressure or dictates imposed under threat, as he put it. Meanwhile, the Iranian Fars news agency, quoting an Iranian military official, reported that a renewed war with the United States is possible given the continued impasse in negotiations and US President Donald Trump's criticism of the latest Iranian proposal. 12 people were killed and others were injured in an Israeli airstrike that targeted the town of Shokain in southern Lebanon. The Lebanese national news agency reported that the mayor of Shokain was among the wounded, with damage to several residential buildings and significant damage to a neighborhood. In another development, an Israeli aircraft launched an airstrike on the town of Achet in the Nabatea district, coinciding with a drone strike targeting a car on the Kufr Jail road in Nabatea, resulting in material damage. Israeli artillery shelling also resumed on the outskirts of towns in southern Lebanon. Meanwhile, the Israeli army confirmed that an officer and 3 soldiers were wounded in a Hezbollah drone strike on a public ambulance in the Upper Galilee. As the Middle East crisis continues, the humanitarian fallout is worsening, with aid route disruptions and food and fuel price hikes wrecking the lives and rights of the most vulnerable. Here's a report.
Food is no longer merely a matter of import and export. It has become a fundamental pillar of comprehensive food security. Amid ongoing tensions affecting maritime navigation in the region, the food crisis has emerged as one that quietly seeps into the details of daily life. Food prices have begun to rise, supply chains are faltering, and markets are fluctuating in response to unfolding events. With increasing signs of a wave of hunger and famine that could affect the poorest countries, the conflict has also intensified pressure on the food production system, including fertilizers and chemicals. Modern agricultural crops can no longer achieve their productivity without the use of nitrogen-based fertilizers derived from natural gas, making global food supplies hostage to fluctuations in oil and gas markets. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said if the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz continues in the coming months, fertilizer deliveries will be impacted and 45 million people will face extreme hunger.
Growth falls to 2.5%. Inflation is 5.4%. 32 million people are pushed into poverty. Fertilizers are low and crops yields fall short. And 45 million more people will face extreme hunger.
Reflecting the deep interconnection between energy and food, data from last March showed that the World Bank's Global Energy Price Index rose by more than 41%, driven by a sharp increase in European gas prices. Fertilizer prices also surged by over 50% in some global markets. At the same time, the FAO warned that average food prices could rise between 15 and 30% during the first half of the current year if the conflict continues.
U.S. President Donald Trump said yesterday he would increase tariffs on cars and trucks from the European Union to 25% next week from the previously agreed on 15%, saying the bloc had not complied in its trade deal with Washington. The European Commission swiftly rejected Trump's claim that Brussels was not complying with last summer's trade deal and said it would keep its operations or options open to protect EU interests if Washington breached the terms of the agreement. Trump fired off the tariff post amid escalating tensions between the US and the EU over the war in Iran and European countries' refusal to send naval forces to open the Strait of Hormuz. Trump this week threatened to reduce US troop levels in Germany, Italy and even Spain after German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said the US was being humiliated by Iran in talks to end the conflict in the Middle East.
And I believe it'll snap back very, very quickly as soon as
The United States is withdrawing 5,000 troops from Germany, the Pentagon announced yesterday in an apparent U.S. rebuke to the close NATO ally amid a widening rift between President Donald Trump and Europe over the Iran war. Trump had threatened a drawdown in forces earlier this week after sparring with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who said on Monday, April the 27th, the Iranians were humiliating the U.S. in talks to end the two-month-old war. Chief Pentagon spokesperson said the withdrawal was expected to be completed over the next 6 to 12 months. The German defense minister stated today that Europeans must take greater responsibility for their own security in response to the announcements of plans to withdraw U.S. troops from Germany. Locally, the Ministry of Education, represented by the Higher Education Admission Centre, has opened registration for admission to higher education institutions for the 2026 through 2027 academic year. Registration will continue until June the 4th. This is done through a modernised system with a contemporary technological interface that keeps pace with digital transformations. The system allows students to apply electronically, review available programs and specializations and choose suitable academic paths, while also facilitating the registration process and enabling direct application tracking. The ministry emphasized that the new updates enhance the efficiency of services through a user-friendly and intelligent digital platform that supports academic decision-making. This year's admission guide also includes several new features, most notably direct admission to certain specializations at Sultan Qaboos University colleges, full scholarships offered by Ooredoo Oman linked to employment opportunities, in addition to programs specifically designed for students with hearing impairments, and internal scholarships for students with autism disorder, allowing them to choose educational paths that suit their abilities. The lending activity of the Oman Housing Bank has witnessed remarkable stability and growth over the past 2 years, both through direct financing provided by the bank and through the SCAN program. The total approved financing during this period exceeded 615 million Omani riyals, encompassing more than 13,200 loans. Direct financing alone approached 300 million Omani riyals, benefiting over 6,600 citizens. Meanwhile, the SCAN program contributed to providing financing exceeding 315 million Omani riyals, enabling more than 6,600 Omani families to acquire suitable housing through a flexible mechanism based on banking partnerships and digital transformation in application processing. The SCAN program has also contributed to a qualitative shift in the beneficiaries' experience by relying on digital channels and integrating with commercial and Islamic banks. This has led to a reduction in waiting periods on the waiting list from approximately 4 years to less than 6 months, an unprecedented achievement in the housing finance sector. Through peace and shared human values, nations thrive and grow to achieve more for the common good of their peoples. My latest trip to Hungary inspired the following story. Beyond goodwill and friendship, the Sultanate of Oman and Hungary enjoy strong diplomatic ties that have helped to build robust avenues for cooperation across various fields.
It is important to see that in a very short time we really have achieved a very high level and a very active relationship with Oman. You know, as they say, fi haraka baraka, where there is activity, there is blessings. So after opening our embassy in 2019, we really rolled up our sleeves and got to the work. And also in the same time, we have been very, very lucky to find in our Omani friends dedicated partners. Without Oman's support, of course, we could not have achieved these successes.
With official representation through diplomatic missions in both countries, the Sultanate of Oman and Hungary are adopting an advanced approach grounded in a shared vision and values of peace and prosperity.
Oman also opened its embassy in Budapest, and we highly appreciate and we very much value the cooperation with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Oman, as well as the Embassy of Oman in Budapest. They are great friends to us.
The avenues of partnership and cooperation between the two countries continue to grow and span diverse sectors, including tourism, water treatment solutions, culture, and education. I am in the Embassy of the Sultanate of Oman here in Budapest of Hungary. It is located right next to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade within the country. Both Oman and Hungary enjoy strong diplomatic relationships and official representation in both countries, a strong driver for cooperation and friendship in the near future. For Oman TV, Ahmed bin Hilal al-Busaidi, Budapest, Hungary. A youth dialogue in Beijing is highlighting the growing role of young people in promoting global understanding and cooperation, bringing together 120 young voices from 14 different countries. More details in the following report.
A youth dialogue titled Gen Z Power and New Hope brought together international participants in Beijing, including representatives from the Arab countries. The forum, which gathered 120 youth from 14 countries, highlighted the role of young people and media in promoting understanding, peace, and global cooperation. Discussions focused on the growing role of youth in addressing global challenges and strengthening cooperation in an increasingly complex world. Supported by the Communist Party of China and guided by the vision of Xi Jinping, the initiative reflects a strong emphasis on empowering young people to contribute to both national development and global progress. Participants from Mauritania, Comoros, and the United Kingdom, alongside their Chinese counterparts, highlighted the importance of cultural exchange in building trust and called for stronger engagement between China and the Arab world.
The dialogue session was held under the title Youth Dialogue, Gen Z Power and New Hope, during which we exchanged our experiences in youth work with our friends from Arab countries. Of course, the Secretary-General Xi Jinping attaches strategic importance to youth work. With China's increasing openness to the world, the engagement of Chinese youth in international affairs has now become broader and deeper than ever before. We welcome our youth friends from the Sultanate of Oman, and a visit to China is always welcome.
Youth is not only for the future, it's already a force for the nowadays Chinese society development, because we have seen many young people who worked for the village, for a small region, to deliver alleviation of poverty.
As part of the program, participants at the Government Services Center in Beijing gained insight into modern public services. At China Global Television Network, the role of media was highlighted in promoting global dialogue.
Relationship between China and Oman, it can go back to thousands of years before. Like the navigator in the dynasty Ming, they already traveled to Oman like four times. So we can call we are very good friends.
In a time of rapid change, the message from Beijing was clear. Dialogue remains essential, and youth are shaping a more connected future.
Young people today are proving they are not just the future, but active contributors to shape our world. Here in China, youth have demonstrated inspiring models of contributions across technology and
innovation, powered by vision and commitment. For the Sultanate of Oman Television, I'm Abdullah bin Ahmed Al-Rubi'i, Beijing, People Republic of China.
Thank you, Abdullah. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's news bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty the Sultan greets President of the Republic of Poland on his country's National Day. The US President confirms that his administration is not satisfied with the latest Iranian proposal, and Tehran confirms its openness to solutions for the outstanding issues without pressure or dictates imposed on it under threat. And 12 people are killed and others wounded as Israeli raids continue on villages in southern Lebanon, and Hezbollah bombs Israeli army positions and vehicles with drones. With that, we do come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it is good night and have a productive week ahead.